Of course, there are also the PNRR program, it is important, but not only the funds are important, also the reforms are important. And that is why we need a government which is able to set targets and to reach them. And Mario Draghi is leading a coalition government. He is able to understand and take into account the different sensibilities of the parties, but at the same time to fix goals and to reach them, so that the country understands that we are following a path and we are advancing.
We have a phrase in the UK called it's like herding cats, and I can't help thinking that Mario Draghi is trying to herd cats. These are politicians, these are political animals. We're talking about the likes of Salvini, Conte now, who's become a politician when we didn't think he would be, Meloni, of course, in opposition as well. How long can he manage to herd those cats?
I would remember that he has been the chairman of the European Central Bank. And in that board, there were different sensibilities, different principles, different ideas, and he has been able to change the policy of the central bank, taking into account also the different sensibilities, but assuring a unity of the stance of the bank. And I think that this is not the strictly political job, but it is quite similar.
You mentioned there it's not just about the money, and we'll come to the money in a few moments' time, but it is also about the reforms. And for years, for decades, this country has been crying out for administrative reform, political reform, justice reform, and a whole host of others as well, which I haven't mentioned as well. Is it possible that he can get all those through, which, of course, is part of the conditionality for a lot of that money coming from Europe?
Yes, I think that it is possible if all the forces can find their particular interest in the way the reform are taken on. What I mean is that the goal is important, but also the way and the tools are important. And that is the sensibility that Mario Draghi has shown in the central bank, or European Central Bank.
What about the money? Goodness knows Italy has spent a lot of money over the years. Not a lot of it has been spent on productive measures, on key investments. Now the new money will be, but we're still sitting on all the debt from the last crisis and probably the crisis before that as well. When will that matter again? When will that figure that you and I would have talked about so pointedly 10 years ago, 130% debt to GDP, when will that matter again? Will it only be when the ECB moves, or when?
There are a lot of liquidity funds in the world, in Europe and in Italy. Italian firms have increased their deposits during last year, more than 90 billion euros. The families have increased their deposits, so they will spend them. They will convert them into economic activities if there are goals that can be shared by the population and by the investors. And that is what the government is doing. And as far as the liquidity and the money is concerned, do not remember that there are a lot of lenders. For instance, Intesa Sanpaolo will offer 400 billion. That is nearly the double of the European plan in the same time period. So liquidity is not the problem. Money is not the problem. The question is how you invest, how do you spend. Mario Draghi say it is not important the debt, it's the quality of the debt.